this was this was probably the most surprising thing that I did see. Okay, is Howie Roseman changing his philosophy when it comes to the linebacker position? At least for the coaching staff position that's open right now. They want expertise, they want experience, and they got two guys right now that are interviewing for that job. And are we starting to take a turn? Well, we're going to find out.
You better turn. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So, yeah, I mean, this probably was the most surprising news of the day, and it looks like the Eagles are starting to take a turn a little bit to where they have to give more attention to other positions, especially on the defensive side of the ball. All we're worried about on the offensive side is getting a coordinator, a new QB coach, which we'll talk about later in this video. But and the pieces, they have the right nucleus set of pieces in place offensively. Besides getting a wide receiver three and a running back, and whatever the case may be with that, whatever they do defensively, yeah, the whole entire scheme has to change, which it doesn't seem like it, but maybe you're getting the right coach for the job in Vic Fangio, since that hasn't really been official yet. But two new positional coaches are set to interview for the Philadelphia Eagles for the linebacker coaching position. Okay, and it's really starting to show that they are starting to take now. We might not believe it at first because they need to hire the person first, and then we need to see what they do. Because you have done nothing but just bandage up that position. You drafted Nakobe Dean in the third round. You went into this year saying, well, we have Nakobe Dean, so who cares, right? And Nakobe Dean didn't even last a whole month on this team. Okay, I'm just exaggerating, but I think that's what it seems like. I feel like I haven't seen him in a long time. Hurt 3 times, and you had to dip in the free agency about 3 or 4 times, and it just got very annoying that they just keep ignoring this position. And finally, expertise, finally, experience. And with Joe Barry, it's 22 years of experience. Now, as a DC, he hasn't been the best defensive coordinator for years, and whatever team he's been on. He's coached the Rams, Chargers, and Bucks. Okay. He went back to the college ranks. He's taken a break from the NFL a long time ago. I think Sirianni has a connection with this guy because I think they were on the same staff when they were with the Chargers. I have to believe. I could be wrong. But Joe Barry, let me tell you something, has got the best out of his linebackers. He was a linebacker coach for the Rams under Sean McVay for a few years, won a Super Bowl, became the DC with the Rams, totally shit the bed. Even back in the day with the 2008 season for the Lions, the winningless team, didn't win one game that year. He was defensive coordinator and left, and obviously was a linebacker coach, and been there for the Bucks as well. So there's a lot of good connection with him and a lot of linebackers, Lavondre Campbell. So there's a lot of players he's really he's really put up there, and the experience and what he brings to the table. I think this is what we need, a older veteran. This is a guy that could be with the Eagles for a while. Guys that have been head coaches or DCs or OCs for a long time, or have been positional coaches, have been up and down the ranks their whole entire career. Okay, 22 years of experience you're looking at here. Okay, as a DC, like I said, hasn't really been his MO, hasn't really been his big success. Really turning one position to a powerhouse, and his coaching and how to be physical, and he's always done a good job. That's the one thing I've heard about Joe Barry is how he takes. He's a micromanager of that linebacker position. Especially, I can't imagine, okay, missed tackling and how he would react to that. Because it seems like our coaches were just way too passive and just let things happen. No one got their ear ranged out. No one got, lifted off, lifted up and punched to the ground, for the crap that they did on the field, which I don't know how no one has a voice when you see things like that. But with Joe Barry, you're getting, like I said, an experienced coach. And, I didn't know if he was going to be a defensive coordinator. A lot of the Packer fans are happy because he's not the DC anymore. But as a linebacker coach, Every time he has been a linebacker coach, it's almost been successful every single time. I think that's where his expertise lie, and that's where I think he's going to go. Hopefully, we'll see. But Joe Barry could be well on his way for the job, and I know he's got like one other interview, I think, than the Eagles, but we'll see how it goes. And I don't know if this is Vic Fangio of what he wants or this is more Nick. I guess we'll find out if there is. I know there is a connection with him and Nick Sirianni. Probably they were on the same coaching staff years ago when Nick was in his heydays as a coach, positional coach a long time ago, whether it was a QB coach or probably a wide receiver coach or something like that down the line. So Joe Barry, definitely something to look at. Another prospect for the linebacker coaching staff position is well, look, we have to say this first. Mike Caldwell was already trying to get the DC job for the Eagles. Okay. I think he already knew that maybe he doesn't have much interest out there. He was, Jacksonville's DC last year, and they had the third most cap space last year, and they put a lot of money into that defense as well, and the offense. They actually signed some big time, some big players, some big money, and really couldn't go anywhere with it. You have to remember Mike Caldwell played with the Eagles, played as a Philadelphia Eagle from '99 to 2001, I think, and was on Andy Reid's coaching staff from 2008 to 2012. So. Where he really thrived was when he was the linebackers coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he did a fantastic job with Levante David and Devin White, and look at them now. Okay, so Mike Caldwell could kind of maybe lure Levante. I know Levante David's a lot older. He's probably like 32, 33, which I don't think we're into, signing guys that old. But he has done a good job as well. Knows the city, has played for the city. Try to get the DC job. And I don't know, maybe he was just like, you know what? If I'm not going to be a DC, let me go back to what I'm being good at, and that's being a linebackers coach. Another guy that's had more success as a linebackers coach than really a defensive coordinator, has worked under good coaches over the years. Doug Pearson connected to the Andy Reid tree, and Mike Caldwell connected to Andy Reid, so it makes a lot of sense. And coming back to the Eagles would be pretty cool, and getting these guys familiar and getting this linebacker core back to the way it was. Depending on free agency, depending on where our money lies, there could be some big money out there for a linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles, or it can go to safety. And if they don't put big money into that position, you can get a mid-tier contract out of somebody to come to Philadelphia. But if you're going to the draft, that's where you're probably going to get, your future field general out there. And this position really needs to upgrade, so between both Joe Barry, Mike Caldwell, two guys that have had a lot of success, okay? And Mike Caldwell has 16 years compared to Joe Barry's 22. Mike Caldwell has 16 years of experience at being a linebacker coach. And like I said, Levante David and Devin White, two linebackers that have played good for a while and turned them into something pretty special. So that's really it, though. These are two of the, Joe Barry and Mike Caldwell, the two guys we have to look out for and see who gets hired. And it'd be pretty exciting, as there's just some positional coaches that just can't be good defensive coordinators. It just happens this way. So then these guys revert back to what they're good at, is being a positional coach where there's not so much pressure on them, but they get to focus on one thing throughout the whole entire year. And that's really it. And you can have these coaches for a long time. Some of these coaches never want to be a DC ever again. Some of them might want to get the opportunity again. We'll see. But this is good news. This isn't bad news. Like, they're trying to get more expertise, and they're just trying to it really depends on what they do after they hire one of these two guys. I'm hoping one of them does, that the Eagles do get the hire here. But we'll see down the road. I know I've been kind of bickering back and forth about this, but I really am excited that they're going in this direction. They're not just getting some young assistant that's only been in the NFL for a couple years, or they're getting the top vet. They're getting the top vet DC and Vic Fangio, the best to do the bend, don't ever break defense. And, the best guy is Vic Fangio for that scheme. And they're getting as much expertise as possible to some of their positional, their positional jobs that are open right now. And there's a lot more jobs that are going to open up, especially, offense. We haven't heard half of it yet of coordinator and what's going on there. So very happy about the Joe Barry, Mike Caldwell news. And I want to know what you guys think about that news as well. Now, I want to go over Jordan Davis. Now, this one is really interesting. Now, Jordan Davis had an interview, probably was at the end of the year, probably the exit interviews. And, I kind of want to talk about this because I think it's really important. So this is what he had to say about, kind of alluding to the fact that he fell off in the second half of the season. He says, I just have to look in the mirror. I'm a man. I could admit when I'm falling off. I fell off in the half at the end of the year. I can't admit that, but at the end of the day, we're human. We have the ability to change that, the ability to work and get two different platforms we haven't reached yet. I think we'll be able to do that. It takes a lot of faith, a lot of hard work. And then says, my body is beat. I can tell you that for sure. He said 2 days after the season ended, it's a long season, a long grind, but at the end of the day, I know what it takes to have to do even more. And I have to agree. Look, he had a long season. This was, you're going to your second year. We expected some high hopes, okay, for Jordan Davis. Okay. We were worried about his weight. We were worried. Look, I said when we drafted him, I said, look, I love the pick, but if he gets overweight, doesn't watch his weight, he doesn't condition, he's going to be a wasted pick. I don't think he's going to be a wasted pick. We know what this scheme was. We know that a lot of the defensive linemen hit a wall, not just Jordan Davis. I think Jalen Carter hit a wall. I think a lot of guys hit a wall. I didn't see Jalen Carter get a sack for weeks. 2.5 sacks for Jordan Davis. Really, that was by the Miami game. And then really after that, he kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. I know the rotation wasn't good later on. Even Jalen Carter had like 21 snaps in one game. He wasn't rarely getting any snaps. So there was a problem with rotation. There was a problem with getting the best out of your players. And when you're getting beat the hell out of every week, the motivation probably isn't there. And you know what? There was rumors that Jordan Davis was gaining weight. He was getting fined for it every day. It was all over the place. Even Brian Bollinger even said that. I mean, he heard that Jordan Davis was just not doing well. But what we saw in the beginning of the season, and I didn't expect Jordan Davis in his second year, all I expected him to do was be a good run stuffer. Other than that, I didn't really expect that much. We watched training camp. We saw him bulldozing people. And then we got to a few games and we're like, holy shit. Jordan Davis has got a pass rush at 340 pounds, whatever it is. I mean, it's a monstrous with his athletic ability and how fast he is and how explosive he is off the ball. You know, so the sack numbers didn't rise up, the pressures didn't really rise up either. So at least he's admitting to it. He's being humble about it. And he was tired. You're going to a year. He didn't have that many snaps last year. This year, he had a lot of snaps. And since the defense was playing that poorly, not using your linebackers, every position was pretty much flawed. So I can expect you're not getting the best out of your players, one. And two, you're not putting your players in the right positions to win football games and not putting them like I said, you're putting them in a failed state. And I feel like that's what's been going on the whole entire year. So hopefully changing defensive coordinator, putting more accountability into these guys, having a mission every Sunday and getting the job done and looking up to a coach that you love to hate. And we need a prick at DC. We need some pricks at these positional coaching staffs. You know what I mean? We need someone to be an asshole once in a while. And I feel like there's not enough of that. And there's just not good coaching at all, which I think a lot of these guys hit a wall. So everyone that talks about Jordan Davis so much and says he should get off the team, how better is Jalen Carter? Because he hit a wall. Even Josh Sweat hit a wall. He didn't get a sack until what? I mean, he got a sack at the last 5-6 games of the year, maybe one sack. And before that, he didn't even get a sack since week 9. So I mean, who was really benefiting? Who was really not hitting a wall at this point, the way both coordinators, Nick's game plan, whatever the hell it was, changing defensive coordinators hurt the players and the team more than anything. Reed Blankenship mentioned it. Darius Slay mentioned it. Changing defensive coordinators, Nick thinking that getting rid of Desai and putting in Patricia was the best move, hurt the defense entirely. And obviously, when you don't have a backup plan for nickel, and you're fucking putting in it. You're putting in guys in and out. You're subbing guys. You don't know who to put on the outside and inside, and there's a constant rotation going on. You're losing more safety. Safeties and nickel were like the two positions and linebacker, just three positions that were just, there were holes all the time. We never had a steady defense. We never had steady guys on the field. Yes, I'm not making injuries an excuse, but that just makes it worse. On top of a bad scheme, you're having injuries on top of it. And a coach, whether it's Patricia, whether it's Desai, whether it's Nick, doesn't know how to scheme these guys, doesn't know the strengths. So when Patricia, obviously he's been here, but you're not telling him to change your defense. You're literally handing him the keys to the same car, and he's never drove it before. Like, that's how I think of it. And he's not the only one that hit a wall, okay? I think Hassan Reddick could have played better. Jalen Carter could have played much better. I guess he sucks. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I can say, but I don't, because I know, like, what position they were in. I mean, be a player, have that point of view of how would you be on that field every single week. I mean, especially the last 6-7 weeks. But Jordan Davis kind of lost his spark, a little earlier in the season after that Miami game. So I'm hoping this doesn't really mess anything up for him. I hope, it's not none of a big deal or anything, but, it is what it is. I have a lot of faith in Jordan Davis and his play for the future. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, two quick things. Yes, Alex Tanny is going to be gone, the QB coach. Thank God. I mean, this is obviously going to change. Once they get a new coordinator, the coordinator is going to hire the QB coach they want. Haven't heard really any, besides, I haven't really heard any names, to be honest. I've been trying to look for a QB coach. I don't really know yet. But we'll see what happens. Alex Tanny has gone off. They have parted ways. He's parted ways with the Philadelphia Eagles, and a new QB coach will be in there. We haven't heard too much on OCs, a couple names, nothing really promising right now. I think they're taking their sweet time, on who they're going to hire. So we'll see what happens with that. And lastly, Jeff Stalin. I don't know, maybe there was rumors Jeff Stalin. They didn't know if look, when coaches are on contract, it doesn't mean that they can't leave the team. Okay. They can walk out. They can settle the rest of the contract, whether, they'll get money for the next year or two, or maybe they take some money off or whatever. You know what I mean? But Jeff Stalin will be back with the Eagles in 2024. So maybe this question was asked behind the scenes if Jeff Stalin was coming back. And Kelsey's coming back too. I think that's a big part of it. I think he wants to be with Kelsey till he retires. I think Stalin wants to be here. And to be honest with you, I think Stalin's our best coach. Stalin is our number one positional coach and probably our best coach right now on the team. That's how sad it is. A positional coach has more value. I know he's the run game coordinator as well. I still don't know what he does with the run. I don't get how an offensive line coach is a run game coordinator. He doesn't work with running backs. I don't know. Maybe I just don't get it. Maybe I'm stupid. I have no idea. But Jeff Stalin's here to stay in 2024. So that's all that matters. Drafting offensive linemen and doing things like that. Always a great talent there to get the best in the building. And he's done pretty well of that job. So can't complain at all. So other than that, that's pretty much it. I know I've been going back and forth. I've been ranting and raving and switching back and forth and probably saying the same things 20 million times. Which I usually do anyway, because I have this, trigger in my head. But we talked about Joe Barry. We talked about Mike, Caldwell, and the experience and getting two experienced linebacker coaches that both of them have had a lot of success in for over the years, which is telling me, in conclusion to this video, that the Eagles are trying to change their philosophy, that they're trying to get the best coaches in the building, veteran coaches at that position at linebacker, to bring in the best players, that they are going to upgrade this position, that they're not going to rely on the Kobe Dean, that they're not going to just sign 1 year deal. You have a 1 year deal, and you have a 1 year deal, and you have a 1 year deal, and you have a 1 year deal. I don't want to do that anymore. I am done with it, and I'm hoping we actually get a future star, whether it's the draft, whether they put money into a guy in free agency. I don't know what they're going to do. But I'm hoping it's good news, and I hope they start changing things. And this is a really good start. You guys let me know in the comment section what you guys think. And I will see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, Fall Slide? Peace out, guys. Peace.